he didn't have all the baggage that he had. So I'm not against it. Like Shane, I'm high on Adrian Claiborne. I've mocked him multiple times to my team at the top of the second round, and I think probably he's being overlooked by a lot of people. The medical issues and that sort of thing scare people off. So decent pick, great player, underrated in my eyes.
All right, next up we got Stuber at 21 with the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think this is going to be another pick that's going to give me fits in my final mock draft.
I'll tell you what, this is a tough one. The way that this board is broken up right now, I mean, I really think they go offensive tackle here, but I don't see them taking Nate Solder here. I think they need more of a right tackle. You know what? I'm going to go a little bit of a wild card here. You know, you may cross your eyes at me a little bit, but Corey Legit. You know, he's played some 3-4. He's played some nose, so he's stronger than he looks. You know, I think he can handle the double teams inside. It may not be the most popular pick in Kansas City. They need some outside linebacker help. They need a wide receiver as well, but there's no one worth taking here, so I would probably go Legit.
Yeah, well, and I know Kansas City fans, a lot of them want a nose tackle, although I think the guy that the object of their desire is Phil Taylor from Baylor, although I think he'd be a reach here. I mean, considering he's reportedly got some health issues, a guy that came on as a senior and really turned it on, and that concerns me when a guy sees the money and turns it on and going for the payday, and then ran some trouble too when he was at Penn State. So there's a lot of factors that lead me to believe he's not going to go in the first round, especially not this high. But the Chiefs are another team that's in a tough position in terms of there's not really value at the positions where they have needs. I mean, there isn't a wide receiver. We talked about how Taylor would probably be a reach. Maybe Akeem Ayers, but he'd be a reach too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I could definitely see nose tackle. I probably would have went Phil Taylor in this situation, even though I wouldn't be a big fan of it. But it's a tough position, really. Shane?
Yeah, I think it's a tough position to be in. Legit probably is the best value because I don't think he falls out of the top 20. I feel like he'll find his place up there. I actually think Ayers might be the pick if the board falls this way. And Scott and I did talk to Rick Goslin 2 weeks ago or so, and he did mention Jonathan Baldwin still in the first round mix for some people. So I mean, if they're comfortable with Dwayne Bowe and want to take another guy with some of those effort concerns, think they can motivate him like they motivated Bowe last year, maybe they take Jonathan Baldwin.
Brandon, your thoughts?
You know what? As much as the rumor mill has stirred about Phil Taylor's feet, I think that it would be my pick there. You know, they're really lacking in the nose department, and I think that probably would have been my pick. But you know, Corey Legit is outstanding, and I would be shocked if he's available this deep in the draft. To be dead honest, he's a pretty phenomenal athlete considering his size, and you know, I really have him pegged somewhere between the Rams, you know, and the Chargers. So if he falls this deep, it's very, very possible that the Chiefs reach up and grab him, and they're tickled with the pick.
Hey, Shane, really quickly about the Jonathan Baldwin thing. I have heard from other sources that there could be 2 Pitt prospects going in the first round. So we'll see what happens.
Very interesting. I was going to ask you about that, Chris, because I know you've talked to Baldwin in the past. Thought you might have some insight on him. All right, next up, at number 22 with the Indianapolis Colts, Shane. Who you got?
Well, you know, when the general manager, Bill Polian, says that he should not have taken Jerry Hughes last year and should have taken Roger Saffold, and so he says that to the public, I think that means he wants some offensive linemen. So I'm going to go with Nate Solder, offensive tackle out of Colorado. I think he's a perfect fit for this system, and there's not much more that I think Polian wants out of an offensive tackle than Solder's upside.
I like the pick. I think the Colts have a desperate need at that left tackle position. It boggles my mind that Charlie Johnson has played left tackle in the NFL for 2 years. I think he should be inside at guard. So at this point in the draft, I mean, I think Nate Solder, other than Cam Newton, I think Solder might be the biggest boom or bust prospect in this draft. But at this point, I think he's worth taking a flyer on, and you could end up having a franchise left tackle if he fulfills his potential and continues to develop. So I really like the pick here.
Yeah, Nate Solder, I mean, he fits a definite need for them. Again, he's a developmental guy, but he has the size. He has to get stronger. But again, he's so athletic. He has great feet, good technique. Again, it's just getting stronger. It's just developing more as a professional. He's a former tight end, so he's kind of rangy and long. But overall, this is exactly what they need on the offensive line if he develops correctly. Remember the Tony Hugo disaster. So, but if he does develop, he can be a very good tackle.
Brandon, what do you think?
You know, I like the player. Like you said, boomer bust potential is huge. You know, he has the size, he has the length. His athleticism is phenomenal. His arms, the length of his arms is just tremendous. So I think it's a definite need. You know, the Saffold comments, I giggled a little bit whenever it came out. You know, because they obviously need help there, and they don't have the right player to play that position. So I wouldn't be shocked if this is the pick. I think it's a pick in the making, and it's going to take some time to get him to where he needs to be. But and size and athleticism, it's definitely there.
And one guy I didn't think would maybe be a plan B, or who knows, maybe even a plan A, would be Corey Legit if he's there. He'd be a great fit for that defense and could give them the pass rusher on the interior that they've been lacking for many, many years now. So next up, Brandon, going right back to you at number 23 with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, you know, their number one need is pretty clear. It's cornerback, and probably a lot of Eagles fans are going to be disappointed that I'm just going to go with the standard safe pick, but it's got to be Jimmy Smith. Again, this guy may be one of the best man corners in this draft. His physical ability is huge. If it weren't for his off-the-field issues, you know, this guy would be a top 10 pick. His athleticism is off the charts, and, you know, he can play out there on an island. So I would be shocked if a player's coach like Andy Reid would pass on him considering the need. I think that if anyone can kind of keep him in line, that organization can. You know, you look at what they've done with Vic and a couple of other guys, and I think that it's a pretty safe pick there to fill definitely their biggest need.
Yeah, and this one makes a lot of sense. And Jimmy Smith his stock is extremely volatile, and I mean he could go as high as the top 13. And some people feel he's going to slip out of the first round altogether. I think it's going to be more towards the high end of that. I think he's going to go earlier rather than later. But you know, I just wonder if the situation with Aqib Talib, very talented guy coming out of college, had some off-field concerns. Well, that hasn't worked out well for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now. I wonder. We already talked about how it could turn the Buccaneers off a guy like Jimmy Smith. I wonder if others in the league are going to get turned off too and kind of take that situation into account. But I'm interested to hear Stuber's thoughts because I know this is his local team. What do you think?
I like the pick, you know, but that secondary wouldn't lack for any kind of swagger or confidence with Samuel and Smith together. That would be pretty intriguing. Those guys are pretty confident. I mean, Jimmy Smith is an intriguing defender. I mean, he plays with so much swagger, so much confidence. He knows he can press almost any wide receiver at the line. So coming into the league where there's men and him having that kind of confidence and swagger is pretty impressive. But again, you know, just listening to what Howie Roseman said and the philosophy that they have on defense, cornerback is a need, but defensive line is their bread and butter. And although they drafted Brandon Graham last year, you know, he had a torn ACL. I think Corey Legit would be a guy that they would really want to target. But if he's off the board, I think Muhammad Wilkerson, the local product from Temple, is a guy that they really and something that would intrigue them. But I think Jimmy Smith is just as intriguing. So I can see them going either way here, but definitely the pick is going to be on defense.
And Shane.
Yeah, I think Jimmy Smith could be the pick, and you know the Eagles like to move around. I also wouldn't even be surprised if they move up in the draft, they trade up to take him because they like to move around just to ensure they get him.
Yep.
Well, and I was just going to say, when you said about moving up, and Andy Reid is one of those people who has not been afraid to get aggressive and trade up if there's a player he's targeting, whereas a lot of teams are so eager to move down. Philly is oftentimes eager to move up, and if he wants to do that, there's always going to be somebody willing to take those extra draft picks. And although I think not Jimmy Smith, if they move up, I think the guy they could be targeting is Gabe Carimi. I think they could use an offensive tackle. Shane, I remember down at the Senior Bowl when we were down there, we saw the Eagle Scouts paying a lot of attention to offensive tackles that week, so I wouldn't rule out that, and maybe the Eagles try to trade up and get ahead of teams like the Chiefs and the Colts, who could also be looking offensive line to get the blocker they're choosing, so I'd watch out for that as well.
Well, here you go. Here's the scenario, too. Don't rule out, if teams are allowed to make trades now, too. If they are allowed to make trades with this whole situation, with the way our board's fallen, where Prince Amukamara went at number 13, why not trade Kevin Cobb at number 12 with the Minnesota Vikings to get Amukamara? Why not?
Well, I think Vikings fans would probably love that scenario, and I think they'd probably jump at it, but I don't think there's going to be player-for-player trades allowed at draft day. I wish there were. It would definitely spice things up, especially with the change of course this close to the draft. It could be, I guess it could go one of two ways. It could either just be a flurry of activity, or teams could just be so shell-shocked they don't know what to do that they don't do anything. But I don't think we're going to have to worry about it. I'm up next with number 24, the New Orleans Saints, and I'm tempted by Mark Ingram here. And the Saints just recently came out and mentioned they're not necessarily opposed to that they'd have to consider Ingram if he's available. Now, that might be the kiss of death. You don't get too much honesty from teams this time of the year, so that probably means that there's absolutely no way in the world they'll ever consider him. But I'd be tempted, and if anybody knows the value of having a bunch of good running backs, Saints, because they went through a bunch of them with the injuries last year. But ultimately, I got to go defensive line here, and even though there isn't necessarily an ideal fit as a 4-3 end, I'm going to go with Muhammad Wilkerson, who I've heard they like, and there's a lot of people who feel he can play an end in a 4-3. Now, he's not going to be a dynamic pass rusher who's going to get you 15 sacks a year, but he's a versatile guy that Greg Williams can move around and get creative with him, can move him inside on passing downs and have him as a run stuffer on the edge on first and second down. So I'm going to go with Muhammad Wilkerson here. I don't know if I wouldn't put this too high in a confidence pool, and I wouldn't bet the house on it, but that's the way I'm going. What do you think, Stuart?
I'm fine with it. I think that I've had Wilkerson there for a little while now, going to New Orleans. That seems to be a popular selection right now. I'm fine with that selection. That makes a lot of sense. And he's a pass rusher. He's a versatile kid. He's has a lot of upside. I've seen him play in person a few times. I like him. I think he has great upside.
Shane?
Yeah, I like the pick too, and he might go even higher than this on draft day. And if he does fall this far, I don't think he'll fall much further and get past Seattle and Baltimore. So Wilkerson, I think he has some huge upside. He could become the best defensive lineman out of this draft. I think it's quite the possibility with his upside.
And Brandon?
You know, I would be surprised if Mark Ingram's the pick here, to be dead honest. You know, their running back situation is a bit in flux, and I think there's definitely been some smoke from the Saints camp that they're interested in Ingram, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was the pick. You know, there's a point where the rubber meets the road, and value is the name of the game, and you know, we're getting back far enough now that Ingram may be valuable and not be you know, a reach. But Wilkerson is a great athlete, and I wouldn't be shocked if he went there. I could see him fitting in there quite well.
All right, next we got Stuber at number 25 with the Seattle Seahawks. Another, I think, wild card pick. I think the Seahawks could go in a lot of different directions here.
Yeah, I'm sighing as we speak because this is a tough one. It really is a tough one. My God. I think they would actually consider Jimmy Smith here if he did fall.
I agree.
Wow, this is a tough one.
Walker's still out there.
Yeah, I know. I know. They bring the hometown kid home. Well, I really think they trade down from this spot. I do. Because I want to trade down right now. My God. Wow. You know what?
If he was there.
Yeah, they would go. They have so many holes on this team. Man. Can I pass on this one, Scott?
I tell you what, the chat room is going crazy over Locker.
Really?
Whoa, Locker exclamation point. If Locker's on the board, I'd go with Locker.
All right, you know what? I will.